Modern historical analysis operates on a single structural assumption that the human timeline is a continuous upward trajectory of isolated events. The traditionalist cosmological framework argues for a different architecture. History is a fractal, descending manifestation of macrocosmic cycles. The French metaphysician René Guénon dedicated his work to mapping these cycles with mathematical precision. In his text, Formes traditionnelles et psychocosmiques, Guénon argues that ancient myths are not primitive allegories. They act as encrypted repositories of topological and temporal data. To understand this framework, we are going to reconstruct Guénon's mastomap of our current epoch by plotting its exact mathematical, geographical, and linguistic coordinates. Attempting to decode ancient texts using modern sociology or profane history is a category error. If Guénon's reading is accurate, these traditions form a unified global coordinate system detailing humanity's exact position in a cycle of cosmic decline. In Hindu cosmology, the overarching cycle of the current human epoch is called the Manvantara. This cycle is mathematically subdivided into 4 distinct phases, known as yugas, each representing a successive stage of spiritual and historical descent. Their duration follows a precise ratio of 4, 3, 2, and 1, summing up to 10. This sequence aligns with the inverse of the Pythagorean tetractys. The numerical structure of the descent mirrors an inverted geometry of perfection. This celestial map details the precession of the equinoxes, the astronomical phenomenon where Earth's axis slowly wobbles, altering our visual orientation to the stars. It takes exactly 25,920 years for a full cycle through the zodiac, shifting 1 degree every 72 years. From these precessional figures, we derive the base esoteric number of 4,320, exactly 72 multiplied by 60. Using this base, Guénon calculates the total length of the Manvantara at 64,800 years, corresponding exactly to 5 great years of the precessional cycle. The massive numbers assigned to cosmic cycles in ancient texts function as literal astronomical equations, measuring the precise rate of the human timeline's decay. In this traditional framework, temporal decay has an exact spatial corollary. The literal and symbolic origin point of the current Manvantara is the geographic pole. The Hyperborean tradition, the primordial phase of humanity, maps to the north-south axis, representing the winter solstice. As the yugas descend, the geographical seat of the tradition fractures and shifts away from this polar origin. This progression leads to the Atlantean subcycle, the secondary, later phase of the tradition, situated geographically in the west. In the annual cycle, the west corresponds to the autumnal equinox, the symbolic evening of the Manvantara. In Guénon's map, cardinal directions are temporal timestamps. To say a tradition is Western is to state that it belongs to the twilight phase of the cosmic cycle. This spatial and temporal data is also encoded into the structures of sacred languages. Consider the Hebrew and Arabic root autumn, which forms the name autumn. Morphologically, this root translates to red or blood. Cross-referencing this linguistic root with the cosmological map, the red race and the element of clay link directly to the Atlantean West. Another major linguistic root is QBL, the foundation of the word Kabbalah. QBL carries a dual meaning. Spatially, it means facing or in front of. Temporally, it means before or the act of transmission. Contrast this with the root QDM, which explicitly signifies the east and absolute primordial origin. The word Kabbalah mechanically defines itself. It serves as the chain linking the current, degraded epoch back toward the Hyperborean origin. Etymological analysis reveals a forensic record. In this framework, words like Adam and Kabbalah house perfectly preserved spatial and temporal coordinates from previous yugas. How did these cosmological truths survive the descent of the Manvantara and the shifting of the geographic axes? The Hellenic or Apollonic method of transmission relied on Pythagorean numerical proportion, explicitly tied to spatial geometry and visual forms. In contrast, the Abrahamic traditions, specifically the Jewish Kabbalah and Islamic esotericism, built an entirely different symbolic vehicle. They utilize an organic, alphabetic architecture, where the letters themselves hold exact numerical values, a system known as gematria in Hebrew and abjad in Arabic. The environmental logic dictates this divergence. A strictly alphabetic, non-spatial mathematical language is adapted for nomadic peoples carrying a tradition without fixed physical architecture. Academic analysis often suggests that the Kabbalah borrowed its numerical science from Greek Neoplatonism, but the structural evidence suggests otherwise. The deep integration of these sciences, one into the fundamental grammar of an alphabet and the other into the axioms of geometry, makes the theory of a simple copy difficult to sustain. These represent distinct organic adaptations of the same mathematical principles. When we align the 4320 math of the Yugas, the geographical shift from north to west, and the linguistic roots of ancient languages, a single mechanism emerges. Ganon's traditional history operates as a unified, internally consistent cosmology, free from the fragmented overlaps of local folklores. The structure of ancient alphabets and the sacred math of the Hindus serve as calibrated, surviving instruments designed to track our position in the descent. Analyzing these esoteric traditions purely through modern empirical history or sociology ignores their actual function. History is a descending cosmic clock that has been ticking for tens of thousands of years. The sacred sciences are the only instruments left capable of telling us exactly what time it is.